I'm Lucinda Williams from the Belden Farm in Hatfield, Massachusetts. Two things are of the highest value for us here on the farm, and one is the health of our animals, and one is the health of our land. I say quite often that I believe that farmers were the first environmentalists, because we really, if we didn't care for animals in our lands, we would not still be farming. I really like the circle of natural farming that we have, with growing our own crops to feed our animals, to produce the manure, to go through the anaerobic digester, to create electricity for our barns, and to put back on the soil to then grow the crops again. So that whole circle of environmental health, I think, is so important and so valuable to what we do. Giving of ourselves to the farm, to the land, to people, to your community, wherever it is that you want to give, that you're called to do. I think that's the right thing for you to do, and that's where we find value, and we find just what we are meant to do. For me, that's farm. I think really what gives me strength is, coming back to family, but also with the belief in what we do. And, I get to look outside my house and I see beautiful land, I see lovely cows, I see just nature at its finest. I tell people all the time, you don't go into farming for the time off or the money, but you do go into farming for the love and the value. There's so much good in what we do. I think I've had generations of people who have been so kind and such mentors and so patient with me as I learned the role of a woman in farming. I don't know everything still. I certainly know a lot more than I did when I started out. Of the highest value and the most important to me is just the one right here at home. We are so fortunate that we have 3 of our children and their families, our grandchildren, just living all right here on the farm with us. And my husband says often, we better not mess this up, because I think this is really heaven on earth. I get to be with my favorite people in the world.
Hi, I am Lindsay Allen, and we are here on Fernhill Farm in Buckland, Massachusetts, so in Western Mass. This is the first time I've ever owned my own farm, which has been a journey. So we are an agroforestry-based vegetable farm. So yeah, agroforestry is the intentional integration of trees and perennials into your farming system. And so in the face of climate change, I think agroforestry really has an important role, because if we look at how trees and perennials interact within an ecosystem, they are much more resilient, right? They have deeper root systems. They're offering dappled shade to your annuals and more sensitive crops. I try to look up as often as I can remember to see what is everything else happening beyond that piece of soil in front of me that is telling me that the ecosystem that I'm a part of here is happy and flourishing. Starting this farm has been the hardest thing I think I've ever done. The challenge of farming is something that I've always liked. It's always dynamic, it's always changing. You're always constantly have to be thinking and evolving, and because you're working with a living system. So it's really interesting work. We bought this farm as a family. Growing an intergenerational family was really important. Having a place to call home that could be a place for my mom to age in place, and then where our kids could grow up, and doing that in a cost-effective way where we were able to buy this land and buy this farm because we pooled 3 different families. If I hadn't pooled the resources of my whole family to buy this land, I could ever have afforded it. That's not a, female-specific issue, but I think there's a lot of layers that come in being a female and trying to access land. I've been lucky enough to have my farming history kind of seeded with all of these amazing women who were either mentors or wonderful co-workers and leaders with me. Specifically in Massachusetts, there are these amazing female farmers where we can kind of point to like the lineage, and you ask someone, you're like, who did you learn from? And you're like from these different lineage, and they're all female farmers. Yeah, they're just really inspiring farmers and still out there doing that work right now. Knowing other farmers who are mothers, because it's such a hard thing to do, to be a mother. I feel like it's like I have two babies. I have the farm and I have my actual baby. Trying to be good to both of them is really, really hard because they're both so needy. At the end of each day, I can feel good about the work that I'm doing in the world. It's like I'm feeding people, I'm tending an ecosystem, I am trying to grow for the future, and that feels like good work.
My name is Margaret Gichuki, and my farm is Margaret Farm and Family. I was born in Kenya, but I grew up farming. I grew up in the countryside with my parents. I did include the name family because I want them to chip in a bit. A family is everything you have. I have many jobs, but farming is my passion. Yes, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I have kids. And then I do work in a hospital. I work for Bedford, but I enjoy farming more than working because I'm my own boss. Working, I work in the evening. So in the morning, I'm free. So I can be able to handle the farm before I go to work. And also I like it because I eat healthy food. You see what you grow coming up, weeding. It's like a God-given job. Life is very expensive. Like the food here is so expensive. Because like now I harvest myself for a whole year. I stock myself so I don't have to buy food. I think we are 3 in my house. We can eat for $20-something. And you want to eat healthy. So farming is the best. It's the best way to move forward. You see, like we have like this bitter leaf. We plant in Kenya too. Here I came to learn so many African countries, they are using it. So that one I have to plant. If it's the amaranth, is for each and every country. Apart from the corn, I plant the hard corn. Because the sweet corns, Africans don't eat all that. It's the hard corn. So you have to balance what you're planting. I thank God I'm healthy. And also when I come here, you don't have to have cholesterol because you are sweating. And you connect to Mother Nature. So it's like after the connection, you feel the whatever was in your body goes away. We believe like when you walk barefoot on the soil, even if you have stress, it comes out of your foot. So it's a sort of massage too. Farming was for women when we were growing up, not men. From my mother, I tell you, my father was not going to the farm. A woman never depended on a man. You have to stand on your own 2 feet. Like my tribe, women own buildings, they own houses. They don't wait for men to do it. I love farming. That's it.
My name is Ellen Drews, and I work at Astarte Farm, which is in Hadley, Massachusetts. What keeps me going year after year mostly is curiosity about things I want to try differently, because no season is ever perfect. And the land changes over time, and our markets change, and our tools change. My first managers, co-crew members, and coworkers were all women or queer people, and we formed such a tight group. My crew mates and I and my manager really established norms that I felt like were very comfortable and friendly for non-men farmers. So we did a lot of like lifting things together, or like just culturally, it felt like such a comfortable place to be myself. The following year, I was the only woman on a crew, and it was a super different experience. One thing that I really love about farming as a woman is that I actually think it's a really positive place to have my gender expression, because I can wear whatever I feel good in. But I also find there's so many ways I can express myself. Like, I've had these over a decade blessed years of being judged by my contribution and rarely by how I look each day. I've been lucky to not work too long at places where really you were expected to go out there and just like muscle through something that wasn't reasonable. I think representation is important for women and non-binary folks to get into farming or to continue their farming careers, to see other people doing it, to see that there's roles available, to see that they're going to be safe and respected in those roles. I think nobody's paid enough. Men, women, non-binary, anybody. So that is really challenging going past just a couple years into this career. You do put so much of your personal life on hold. I draw a lot of comfort in coming to work every day and doing something that I really believe in, that I really think is positive, I really think we need in the future. Of course, we need food, but we also need to manage the land with respect. We need to work together. We need to be connected to our community. And we need to figure it out through trial and error. And we need to give ourselves time to do that.
I'm Kat Chang, and I'm a co-owner with my husband Peter of Reed Farm in Sunderland and Amherst, Massachusetts. I mean, it's a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck thrown in. You combine those things, and then you find a person that you can do those things together with and that you trust and love, and then it just becomes your life. Food connects all of us, all communities. People need to eat. And as a child, I've just always loved animals. So when it comes to eating meat, I want to know that those animals are well cared for, because I care for them, but they also provide nourishment. So it's an interesting mix. So we raise our own birds and process them on farm for wholesale and direct to consumer. We do a bulk retail as well. And we also offer processing services to local poultry producers and backyard flock owners. We started with poultry for meat, and we've been doing that for several years now. And this year we've added a new enterprise. We've added layer chickens, so now we have eggs, and I really enjoy it because I think that's probably a lot of people's first foray into farming, which sometimes then grows into more farming. And then I also have a small finner's flock. It's a messy, unappealing, unglamorous process, but it's so important, and like every single step needs to have a lot of care put into it in order to respect that animal's life. I think that's what makes it not okay to eat the animal, but that's what makes you connected to that animal. I didn't grow up knowing where my food came from or even thinking about it. And so I think I'm so close to that step that I'm happy to like kind of reach out my hand and help other people over that step as well. It's important to be aware of that process of how a living animal becomes food. And in order to respect and value it, you need to fully understand what that process is. You may not have to necessarily be the one doing it, but I think it's important to be aware. And that's why transparency and doing tours and having a very educational focus is really big for our farm. But land, I think, is a big issue, and it's hard to get for everybody. And then you add on the additional barrier of being either a woman farmer or a non-binary farmer, and then it becomes even more difficult. Or a BIPOC farmer. I'm always honored when people ask me to speak on panels or do a tour. I also feel like it's almost a little bit of a responsibility to represent not only being a woman or Korean American or Asian, or I think it's important to show that I'm here doing it. If you want to do it too, reach out to me.